In this presentation, I want to show you how to load the HMI software and the ACD or program file. And the first thing that you'll have to do is to copy the two files from Brightspace into this area. It's fall 2021 on the remote PC. And the easiest way to do that is to copy the files and then come into here and just right click and paste. Okay, I've already done that, but that's how you would do this. So the first thing I want to do is to open this Lab 6B demo. This is called the Factory Talk View file, and that's for the HMI. So I'm going to open that up by doing this, and this is an important step here. You have to go to Tools, okay, and there is a, which is up here. It's called Application Manager, and you have to go to Restore Application, go to Next. We have to find it, which is on that C drive that I just showed you under here, and it's the Lab 6 demo. Okay, so open that up, click on Next, click on Finish. It says it already exists, but we're going to overwrite it. You won't have that message, but I did because it existed there already. This takes a few seconds. After a period of time, it comes back like this. We don't want to do a second restore, so we just do cancel. And now I should be able to go to File, Open Application. I should see that Lab 6 demo. I'm going to click on that. And the next step is to go to View, Explorer window. We want to go to the displays. And there should be a display that says Lab 6 Demo Winter 22. And this is actually a slightly older file, so I just have to make a change here. Okay, and then we want to load the program. So File, Open. It's the one that's marked 31st. Okay, and right now it's in pause, so I want to unpause it. So we go to Configuration, turn the inhibit off, and then we should be able to download this. And it actually downloads all of the programs. Okay, now we have the program loaded and the HMI loaded. So normally what I would do is I'll close this window, and I will also close this window and then drag this over to the left until you can't move it any further. It stops. And it'll maximize this window. This window is visible now. You might even be able to move this one over, but no, I can't do that right now. So this is running. And this is running, so both things are running. It just started, and now let's just click on the lid switch. Program starts, the level's dropping down, and the program is doing what it should be doing. So that's the steps in loading up the HMI for the simulator and also the PLC software for the simulator. Hope this part helps. Thank you. Hello, I've just started the simulation for Lab 6B. It's not really the same hardware as what you'll be doing in the lab, but this gives you a good approximation, especially when you want to test and write some of your software. So I've started the program, and you can see I've just completed the initial step, and the initial step is used to set some of the variables. For example, the temperature to 20 degrees, the level sensor to 150 millimeters. The pump motor mode right now is in digital mode and 0 volts going to it. The ball valve is in the open position. Yeah, the ball valve is in the closed position. Sorry, this is 0. The flow sensor is set up for a value of 2000, which means that we have a flow rate of 2.5 liters per minute. The pressure simulator is 3000, giving us a pressure of 120 millibar. So one of the things to notice here is that this program is waiting to move to the next step, and the next step is going to be when I toggle the lid switch value, which is a digital value. And it has actually executed all of these instructions, and it's executing it all the time. So for example, if I move this variable here, it's going to change the flow rate. Okay, and it is doing that. So let's get it back to where it was at about 2.5. And if I change the pressure, that's going to change accordingly. And let's bring it back to maybe, yeah, it doesn't really matter for that. So let's see what happens next. So I'm going to open and then close the lid switch, and it should move to the next step. And I've set it up for automatic. Okay. But it might be better set up for manual, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to move it so it went past that lid switch test, and it seems to be sitting right here waiting for this to happen, both capacitive sensors to go false. That just happened. So the pump motor mode is 1, the voltage is 12, or was 12. But when we get to these lines of code, it says if the flow rate is less than 3 liters per minute, change it to 16 volts, and you see that happening up here. So the ball valve is closed, the pump motor is on, the level sensor is rising, and here we're waiting for the level sensor to get to 200. And notice that I can hover over the variable to see its current value. That just caused the heater to turn on, so we're right here. And it took the temperature now, which was 20 degrees when we started, added 20 to it. So we're waiting for the temperature sensor to be over 20 degrees, or sorry, over 40 degrees Celsius. When that happens, the heater is going to turn off. Okay, and the heater just turned off, and you'll notice that we're back up near the top of the program. Yes, we're waiting for the lid switch, but these actions are executed over and over again. That's why when I moved this variable, it automatically calculated the flow rate in liters per minute and the pressure in millibar. Hi, so I've opened up one of the other programs, and let's just get the system rolling again by turning the lid switch on and then off. Okay, and what's happening here is the level sensor, you can see here if I hover over a level sensor, it's 161, so it's greater than 50. So that tells the low capacitance sensor to be green, and this one is for the high level sensor, but right now it's very low, so it's not greater than 200. But at some point in time, things are going to switch and the level is going to go up. Okay, and when it gets to the bottom here, the level starts to rise, and you can see this by hovering over the variable. It's at, let's do that again, it's at 101, and you have to go away from the variable and come back. And you can see that the upper capacitance sensor is 0, and the lower capacitance sensor is 1. And eventually the upper capacitance sensor will go to 1. It happens very fast, so I don't see if we'll capture it here. There we go. It did capture it. Because it's staying there because it's heating up the water. Okay, there is another program called level or temperature rise, which is running right now. So let's open it up here. And all this is doing is looking at the heater to see if it's on or off. If the heater is off, so not heater, it's causing the temperature to go down by 1 every 500 milliseconds. So if you look at temperature and you scroll there, it's going down and going down and going down. But I think it tells you that that should only happen for a certain period of time, or a certain level in the temperature as well. So that's controlling the temperature, so that's one of the background programs. There's also one for level. Okay, very, very similar to the temperature one. The level is not changing now. It will when I click this on and off. Okay, the level is dropping, and you can see that here, 172, 164. And it says if pump motor mode is true, then it's going to look at the level, and as long as it's less than 300, it's going to climb this level. And in the opposite direction, when the ball valve is true and the level sensor is greater than 0, then it's going to cause the level to go up. It's not doing that right now, but it is right now. So let's look at that. So it's 92, 102, and that's because the ball valve is closed, okay, and the pump is on. So it's going to keep rising. Okay, and actually it's doing this one up here. It's going up. So 190, 198. Okay, now it's heating, so it's not doing either right now. It's staying the same. So the ball valve is not true, and the pump motor mode is not true. So while those two things are true, the level does not change. It will change in a few seconds. And then the last program is the ball valve control. So that's here. Very short program. And this just says if the ball valve is true, then make these two switches, which are inside the ball valve, a certain state. And if it's false, it says make them this state. So kind of try to go through all these programs to see if you can understand how it's operating. Hopefully that helps. The other thing to be aware of is that there are local tags, and then there are program tags, local tags, which are program tags, and controller tags. Now, since I have a number of programs here, I have the main program, which is 6B, then I have tank sensors, temperature increase, level sensors, and the ball valve control. So sometimes there needs to be a shared variable between all of those programs, and they reside in this controller tags. And if I open the controller tags, you'll see that some of them are, for example, the heater, the capacitance sensor, the ball valve simulator, and so on. Now, one of the things I want to do is show you how to control these using the inhibit mode of the program. So I'm going to go to the program, main program, right click on it, go to properties, configuration, and this is really important for troubleshooting your system. Okay, it's called inhibit mode. And the other thing that's really important is when you're done doing what we're going to do here for testing purposes, you want to make that inhibit mode back to being turned off. That's really important. Okay, so now that we're in inhibit mode, I can, for example, control my ball valve. Okay, if I want to make the ball valve let's say close, because right now it's open and we have to use the simulated one. I put a zero here, and you can see that the ball valve opens, and here I put a 0 on the ball valve close. Let's say I wanted the heater to come on and off, independent of the program doing it. Here the heater is on, and you can see that it's visible. Here it goes off. If I want to change the pump motor mode, I can do that right here, and you can see the pump comes on when I do that. Okay, so we're just manipulating some of those variables. And I can even change, let's see if I can change the capacitance sensors. Maybe for half a second, but what happens is there's another program that's controlling those particular sensors. The other thing to notice here is that when we are running in this mode, there's a little pause symbol. That's really important to look at. Okay, and you can do the same thing when you're working with the real hardware. You can actually go in there and change values. So for example, I still have some of the variables in here for the program that controls the hardware. And let's see if we can go into one of those. So here is an example where I can control the variables, like the 2 for the pump motor and the proportional valve control. That's at local 2 output, channel 0 data, and channel 1 data. Now be aware that on some systems, these two are switched around. So if you find your pump motor is not being able to be controlled, you might have to switch these two around. And the other thing you always have to remember is that there is an enable for operation in analog mode. So you have to make sure you're in analog mode. That's really important.